Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Clay, and I am the Bucks believer. In Game 2 of their second-round series against the Brooklyn Nets, the Milwaukee Bucks got destroyed. They lost by a whopping 39 points in that game, and it was never particularly competitive. Fortunately for Milwaukee, Game 3 of that same series was a completely different story. The Bucks won a hard-fought battle by just 3 points, and they improved their play in many important areas of the game. Shockingly, there is one simple statistic that remained exactly the same in both of those two matchups. The Bucks scored 86 points in both Game 2 and Game 3. The reason why they won Game 3 and got destroyed in Game 2, despite having the same level of offensive production in each of those two games, was their play on the defensive end of the court. In Game 2, Brooklyn scored 125 points and their offense looked completely unstoppable. In Game 3, Milwaukee stopped the unstoppable offense, holding Brooklyn to just 83 points in regulation. The Bucks made significant defensive improvements as the series shifted to Milwaukee, but their offense still left much to be desired. 86 points in a full game is not nearly enough to beat a team like Brooklyn consistently, and the Bucks offense will have to play much closer to the level that their defense did in Game 3 in order for them to have a chance of winning this series. This begs the question of how the Bucks can make the necessary offensive improvements to give themselves a real chance at beating the Nets. The first piece of running better offense for the Bucks is using Giannis Antetokounmpo more as an off-the-ball weapon. Milwaukee's offense has run far more fluidly when Chris Middleton and Jrue Holiday have the ball in their hands, and Giannis is instead being used as a screener or a cutter. And this is because Antetokounmpo opens up so many different options for the Bucks to run their offense through when he's off the ball. Whether that be a variety of screening or cutting actions, Milwaukee has so many different looks. My personal favorite is the Giannis Antetokounmpo Chris Middleton pick and roll, with Chris as the ball handler and Giannis as the screener. In my opinion, this is the best primary action that the Bucks have in their bag. This action all stems off of Middleton's gravity as a shooter. Opposing teams cannot afford to give Chris open jump shots off of Giannis' screens, so they're forced to go over those screens and in some cases even bring extra help off of Giannis. This is because Middleton is an elite pull-up jump shooter, and if you give him any extra daylight, he can knock down three-pointers at a greater than 40% rate. Teams cannot afford to leave him open from beyond the three-point line. Even if they run him off the three-point line, though, this pick-and-roll set still has a chance to really work well in the Bucks' favor. This is because Chris has an excellent handle that allows him to get to his spot in the mid-range, where he is an elite pull-up jump shooter as well. This makes the defense make an incredibly difficult decision. They can either leave Giannis Antetokounmpo open, which will be punished by an alley-oop lob pass from Chris Middleton for an easy dunk for Antetokounmpo, or they can leave Middleton open in the mid-range, where he shoots between 45 and 50%. That 45 to 50% number comes before we factor in the shot difficulty, and in Chris's case, that shot is usually very well contested. This is because Middleton doesn't have the burst necessary to beat his man off the bounce, and that leads to him taking loads of difficult contested jumpers in the mid-range. On the other hand, in this case, Middleton is going to be taking a wide-open mid-ranger because the defense is afraid to help off of Giannis. Chris can probably knock down those shots at an upwards of 50% rate. The defense can either leave Giannis open for an easy dunk, or they can leave Middleton open for an easy mid-range shot. There's no good answer for the D, and for that reason, this is a look that I think is excellent for the Bucks and something that they should go to more frequently. The Bucks can run the same action, but with Jrue Holiday as the ball handler instead of Middleton, and Giannis still as the screener. This particular action puts even more pressure on the rim protector because Holiday is an outstanding finisher for a guard at the basket. He also is not as good of a lob passer as Middleton, but he's a better pocket passer, and there is still a huge threat with Antetokounmpo as the rim runner for him to come away with an easy dunk. In the first quarter of Game 2, the Bucks ran these screening actions with Giannis time and time again, and Giannis cashed in as he scored 15 points while making 7 of his 8 shots from inside the three-point arc. In addition to being used as a screener, Antetokounmpo also has a lot of gravity as an off-the-ball cutter. To me, one of the primary options the Bucks should be looking at in their offense is running a pick and roll with Middleton or Holiday as the ball handler and Giannis as the screener, or in isolation, particularly with Middleton isolating and Giannis as a cutter. This is because Middleton knocks down those difficult mid-range jump shots at such a high level, as I said before. If the Bucks are able to get him isolated against a smaller defender like Kyrie Irving or Landry Shamet, it's probably going to be lights out for the Nets defense. Because of this, the Nets are probably going to have to bring a second defender to help onto Middleton. Because of the advantages that the mismatches create, I think the Bucks should try more often to create those mismatches. Getting back to the play though, when Middleton is isolating against the smaller Nets defenders and the extra help comes, that leaves the rest of the Bucks to play 4-on-3 against the Nets defense. In that case, Antetokounmpo can take advantage of the extra space that Middleton's trap has created, and if Chris can find a Giannis cutting to the basket with a head of steam, that's going to result in an easy shot for the Bucks just about every single time. For further proof of the necessity of playing Giannis off the ball, you can look at the second quarter of Game 3 against the Nets. In this quarter, the Bucks got complacent and used Antetokounmpo solely in isolation. In this period, Giannis really struggled as he failed to make a shot from the field and settled for jumpers consistently instead of trying to get to the rim. This was a pattern throughout the game as Antetokounmpo went just 1 for 8 from beyond the 3-point line. That's 0.375 points per possession, and considering you usually need to be scoring about 1 point per possession in order to be competitive in a game, these possessions were essentially an automatic loss for the Bucks. Antetokounmpo needs to eliminate the 3-point jump shot from his game moving forward. It's okay if he takes the occasional pull-up in the mid-range, but even then, it's best if he continually tries to get to the basket. The Bucks need Antetokounmpo to be smarter in his decision-making, both as a scorer and as a playmaker, as he has averaged nearly 5 turnovers per game thus far in this series. The only good thing about these Antetokounmpo isolations is that they get the players that are defending Giannis into some foul trouble. In this way, they actually succeeded in Game 3, as Blake Griffin and Nick Claxton both struggled with foul trouble for different times during that game. Unfortunately for the Bucks, this only matters if Antetokounmpo is making his free throws, and so far in the playoffs, Giannis is just 27 for 52 from the line. For all of these reasons, I think that the Bucks should use Giannis much more as an off-the-ball weapon, and instead put the ball in Middleton and Holiday's hands more frequently. A second adjustment the Bucks need to make heading forward in this series is moving Brook Lopez out of the dunker spot and out onto the perimeter. This may seem a little counterintuitive, as Lopez has a distinct size and strength advantage on any defender that the Brooklyn Nets throw at him. However, the Bucks have failed to take advantage of this flaw in Brooklyn's defense, as Brook only managed to shoot 2 two-point field goals in Game 3. Since Lopez isn't being used as a weapon inside, all he's doing is clogging up the paint. This is a huge issue because Kevin Durant has been the Nets' primary defender on Brook in this series. Durant is an elite weak side rim protector, and he's flexed those shot blocking chops in the playoffs where he's averaged 1.9 blocks per game so far. Moving Lopez out onto the perimeter will take Durant away from the rim, which will clear out plenty of finishing opportunities for the Bucks' big three. Lopez isn't the biggest threat from the perimeter, as he shot just 33.8% on 4 3-pointers attempted this season, but he's still good enough to remove Durant from the lane and force Durant to stay honest defending him on the perimeter. Lopez is a huge key for the Bucks in this series moving forward, and I think that the best way to utilize him is removing him from the paint and sticking him on the perimeter to instead make the Nets pay for having Durant overhelp. If that isn't working, there's a chance that the Bucks could move Lopez to the bench. I don't love that idea because his rim protection is essential to the way the Bucks like to play defense, but a lineup with Bryn Forbes would add much more floor spacing. Forbes has really struggled in this series so far, as he's shooting just about 22% from the 3-point line, but if the Bucks can get him going somehow, it will go a long way for them having a shot to score more points than the Nets in this series moving forward. Overall, my suggestions for how the Bucks can improve their offense are to use Giannis off the ball more frequently and put the ball in Chris Middleton and Jrue Holiday's hands more often. Additionally, Brook Lopez needs to be out on the perimeter so that Kevin Durant isn't there to protect the rim. Along with that, the Bucks need to run more actions that will force the Nets to make switches so that the Bucks can gain advantages against mismatches that they will absolutely have a chance to kill. If the Bucks can do all of these things, as well as knock down some more 3-pointers, I give them a great chance to get back in this series with a Game 4 victory. If they can do that, the series becomes tied at 2 games apiece, and it becomes a 3-game series. The Bucks are going to have to win 2 out of 3, and 2 of those games are in Brooklyn, but they've certainly got a better chance if they can win Game 4 than they do if they lose that game, which would indicate that they have to win all 3 of Games 5, 6, and 7. The offense is the most important key to winning those games, and as long as the Bucks can get it going, there's certainly a shot that they can win this series. Let me know what you thought of this video in the comment section down below. What adjustments on the offensive end do you think that the Bucks need to make? Be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I think that I've covered everything that I wanted to cover, so that's going to be it for me. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see you all again very soon.